It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.
Hello there, South Mississippi, and thank you for waking up with Wesley. I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. And in this update, we're going to cover rain chances into the weekend and then take a look at the blast of cold air that hits us Sunday, leading to a hard pipe bursting freeze Sunday night into Monday morning. I want to start this update off talking about a little bit about a weather why, because you might be wondering why your phone goes off this weekend when an alert comes in from the National Weather Service. I think we are likely going to see one of those National Weather Service alerts as we head into the weekend. And it will either be a cold weather advisory. What's that? Well, a cold weather advisory is when parts of coastal Mississippi's air temperature or wind chill drops below 25 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, this could bring threats to life and property if you don't take the proper precautions. So we're either going to see that one. I think that's pretty likely because the wind chills are easily going to be below 25 degrees. So we're at the very least going to see a cold weather advisory for parts of coastal Mississippi by the time we get to Monday morning. So they usually issue that a day ahead of time, maybe a day and a half to 2 days ahead of time. So on Sunday, your phones might go off saying, you know, alert, there's a cold weather advisory for your county for Monday morning. Now, there is a possibility that we could get an even worse alert. That one is called an extreme cold watch or an extreme cold warning. The difference between a watch and a warning is just the time when it's issued. They put the watch out about 24 to 48 hours ahead of time. So maybe on Saturday, we could get an extreme cold watch for Monday. Or on Sunday, we can get an extreme cold warning for Monday. And what's an extreme cold watch warning? That's when parts of coastal Mississippi could see the temperature or wind chill drop to 15 degrees or colder rather, colder than 15 degrees. And we are seeing that show up in the forecast. Some of the wind chill numbers could be in the lower teens. So if that is what the National Weather Service is seeing as well, then they're going to put us underneath one of those extreme cold alerts. So that one, again, a pretty serious one, just like in the summer when you have the extreme heat warning. This is the same thing, but it's in the winter, extreme cold warning, and it's a pretty serious thing as it poses an imminent threat to life and property, and it requires immediate protective action when you're underneath one of those. So we'll talk more details about those exact numbers in the forecast coming up, but I do want to start off. Let's take a look at the rain chances because this might catch some of you off guard. We've had a number of days this week. The second week of December has been dry, right? I know in the first week of December we had all those rain systems moving through, but second week has been pretty dry, but now we're finally reintroducing some rain chances, and that might catch you off guard as it kind of throws you off the pattern that we've gotten into recently. Is it a really high rain chance? No. So that means many of us might not get the rain, and even those that do get the rain, it's going to be light and it's going to be brief. So maybe not enough to disrupt any of your Friday night, or Saturday activities. Now, if you have some Saturday night, early Sunday activities, that is when we're seeing a little bit higher rain chance in the 30 to 50% range. Taking you to Futurecast, here's a look at Friday morning. Here we are on the Mississippi coast, plenty of sun, no rain. But we look off to the west and we see the rain showers and the clouds. There's not very many of them, and whatever's there is very light, but it is moving in from the west. And so that's why later today, when you notice an increase in cloudiness, those clouds could spit out some raindrops. They're not going to be very heavy raindrops, and they're not going to be very many of them, but there could be some raindrops into parts of South Mississippi as we head into your Friday. Let me go back and freeze the clock at noon. We're still seeing most of the activity off to our west into parts of Louisiana. We can freeze the clock at 3 p.m. And we're still not really seeing a whole lot of rain over South Mississippi. Looks like it's right there closer to Pearl River County, closer to Hattiesburg, closer to areas near the Kill and areas near Wiggins. And then we go to your 6 p.m. and it looks like some of the rain is actually falling apart, but it could be closer to us by that point in time. So just keep that in mind. Could have some raindrops showing up, very light, very brief, across parts of the area. And there you can still see a few of them lingering as we go into your Friday night. Still seeing some showers. Look at those right along the coast. And then eventually overnight, I think we're going to begin to see some fog development. So watch how the clouds really start to thicken. Those are fog clouds by the time we get to midnight. I am seeing a large area of fog clouds from the Pine Belt into parts of South Mississippi. And this likely continues to thicken and expand with that sort of cloud of fog just hanging over parts of our area. So you're looking at fog at least in the Pine Belt, if not down along parts of the Mississippi coast as we go into your Saturday morning. So tomorrow morning, starting off with some fog in some spots, as well as, look at that, some rain showers in some spots too. Maybe Pascagoula is getting a raindrop while Wiggins is getting some fog. And then we go to the rest of Saturday morning. We're seeing around 9 in the morning still the potential for some spotty showers. They're not very many, and they're not very heavy, but they are showing up on the futurecast across parts of our area for Saturday morning. Here's a look at Saturday midday. I'm still seeing some light rain showers not too far from parts of Mississippi coast. Looks like you got some from Biloxi, Pascagoula toward Mobile, Pensacola. And then there's another area of showers popping up closer to Macomb around the middle of the day on Saturday. If we fast forward to the Saturday afternoon time frame, do you have any Saturday afternoon plans? It looks like most of the rain's not really here. Even Saturday evening, most of the rain's not really here, but we are starting to see it forming closer to that cold front that gets here Saturday night and Sunday. Now, technically on Saturday night, there still might be a little bit more fog that shows up across the area, so don't be caught off guard by that. Saturday night into Sunday morning could feature some patchy fog. We're also watching for more rain development. Looks like some of these rain showers developing behind the front, which is unusual, but not something that is unprecedented or anything like that. So we could see some raindrops, kind of a cold, chilly rain with those showers. Look at where they're moving through South Mississippi. This is 3 a.m., right? Most of you are in bed asleep around 3 in the morning, but that's going to be your highest weekend rain chance, 30 to 50%, based on my adjustment to the forecast this morning. And you can see that's mainly after midnight Sunday night, but also before sunrise Sunday morning. So there's sunrise Sunday morning. Where's all the rain? It's either falling apart or it's primarily kind of offshore by that point in time. Obviously, we do have the Mississippi Gulf Coast Marathon this weekend, so if you're going to be running around the area for Sunday morning, you do want to keep an eye on, even if there's no rain at that time, the pavement is going to likely be a little wet. And we are also going to begin to see some strong winds starting to move in from the north. So it's going to turn breezy, turn windy in a hurry as we go to Sunday morning. And then by the time we get to later Sunday, it looks like by midday, the clouds are gone because all of those strong winds from the north have shoved all of those clouds offshore. The air is turning much, much drier. It's way too dry for any rain by noon Sunday. And then by the time we get to Sunday evening, it's completely clear, but the winds are still blowing and howling from the north. We're going to see sustained winds, probably 20 to 30 miles an hour with even higher gusts. So really windy for you. 15 to 25 miles an hour Sunday with higher gusts. So going to be really breezy and windy for you at that time, as well as much colder. And that's what happens Sunday night into Monday morning. We get that hard freeze. Now, I need you to take the freeze seriously because it means business. It's not your old, average freeze. This is one coming straight out of the Arctic. And you can see the source region for our front, for the Arctic cold that's coming our way. Just simply look up to the north near the U.S.-Canada border. During the 8 o'clock hour, Friday morning, temperature in North Dakota is basically at 0. And so all of that much colder air is eventually going to rush right on down from the U.S.-Canada border right down to the deep south. And that's how we get that freeze as we go to Sunday night and Monday morning. Of course, before the freeze gets here, many of you are probably going to get kind of complacent because we're looking at milder weather today. Notice the WLOX weather app forecast shows temperatures approaching the upper 60s on the coast by the time we get to Friday afternoon. We could see lower 70s for areas that are farther inland by the time we get to Friday afternoon. So pretty mild for this afternoon. And same thing will likely happen again as we go to Saturday. Mild today, mild tomorrow, and then starting to get the cool down on Sunday when that strong front gets here. We showed you the rain chances already, and I also mentioned that we could have some foggy mornings, certainly Saturday morning and maybe Sunday morning, depending on the arrival of the front. I think the fog potential Sunday morning is getting a little lower because the front is speeding up, getting here faster. And when you have those strong winds, when you have the rain coming in, that really disrupts fog formation Sunday morning. So might not have much Sunday morning fog to talk about, but maybe it happens before the front gets here Saturday night. There's a look at the temperature trend. So this is why I think many people get complacent. Friday and Saturday, we're going to be basically around 70. And you're going to be like, oh, December who? Winter who? It's just nice and mild here. And then Old Man Winter says, hold your horses. Sunday, I want to remind you that it is December and that we are, closing in on the official start of winter, closing in on the Christmas holiday. So we get that blast of cold air Sunday. Monday, the new information, I don't think we're even going to hit 50 all day. At least it will be sunny. And the winds will eventually relax later on Monday. But Monday will certainly be on the chilly side. But these are your afternoon temperatures, by the way. And notice that the cold snap that this front brings really only lasts about 3 days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. By the time we get to next Wednesday, Thursday, we're already approaching 70 again. So it's not going to be a long duration cold snap, but instead one that is primarily around the first part of next week. But let's talk about this frigid feel that's coming. We told you the cold front gets here Sunday. We showed you the futurecast. Temperatures plummet on Sunday. There's really no point to talk. There's no reason why we would talk about a high temperature on Sunday because it doesn't do you any good. The high temperature on Sunday might be 58, maybe it's 59, maybe it's 60. But we're going to hit that around midnight or 1 in the morning on Sunday. So there's no real point to talk about Sunday's high temperature. But what I can tell you is that you should plan on afternoon, really most of the day temperatures, to just be somewhere in the 40s and 50s for most of the day. So that's what you should plan on, a chilly, breezy Sunday. And then Sunday night, once we get the front to move out of the area, it becomes a bit easier to actually predict the specific temperatures that we are expecting. And for Monday morning, we could find temperatures as low as the lower 20s. Look at these numbers. The numbers have gotten colder and colder every time we've checked them. And I'll make this a little bit bigger on your screen so you can see some of those numbers dropping into the middle 20s. You can see Gulfport, Biloxi, 27, 26 respectively. Ocean Springs, 27. Pascagoula, 27. Gaucher, 26. Maybe Moss Point could find themselves in the lower 20s. You can also see George and Stone counties into the lower 20s and Pearl River County into the middle and lower 20s. So these are easily enough to endanger people, pets, and plants. And I do expect that we're likely going to need to protect our pipes as well. So keep that in mind for that Monday morning freeze. You're going to want to protect pipes before we get to that. Maybe do it today while the weather's still mild. Protect the pipes tomorrow while the weather's still, did I say mild? Yeah, while the weather's still mild. And then on Sunday, the weather gets wild. And so you don't want to protect, you can protect your pipes on Sunday, but it's going to be uncomfortable. It's cold and windy. So take advantage of the relatively more comfortable conditions and put those protections today and tomorrow. Now, speaking of the winds, this is the stuff that is going to now, maybe we'll get a freeze warning, maybe we don't. They usually only give freeze warnings for the first 2 freezes of the season, and I think we've already seen those. So that's really only there to tell you to protect people, pets, plants, pipes. But this stuff, the cold weather, the temperatures and wind chills, we can get those all winter long with the cold weather advisory and extreme cold watch and warning. And I told you about those at the start of the video. This is the stuff, the bitter cold wind chills approaching the lower teens in some areas that could get us into at least a cold weather advisory, if not an extreme cold watch or warning. So we'll have to monitor that closely for you on Monday morning. It doesn't last all day, but it's certainly going to be a thing that we want to keep in mind for Monday morning. I wonder if I press this toward the middle of the day. Well, it doesn't go out that far. It only goes out to 9. But just something to keep in mind for you. So quick temperature recap before we end this video. There's today around 70. So it's mild for Friday. There's tonight overnight into the middle 50s. And there will be a round of fog possible. And then there's a look at the next 4 mornings. You've got Saturday morning, middle 50s. Sunday morning, somewhere in the 50s and 40s. It's difficult to give you a precise temperature because we are forecasting during the arrival time of a strong cold front. So the numbers are going to be all over the place, and they're going to be changing rapidly over the hour. And at times they're going to be going down, at times they're going to be going back up, at times they're going to be going back down due to the arrival time of the front kind of competing with our usual cold morning and relatively warmer afternoon. So yeah, temperature forecast this early out, 2 days out, I'm not even going to bother trying to get precise because then it's going to get inaccurate. So just expect 50s and 40s. Now, Monday, we can be very precise, telling you to expect about 24 for some of the colder temperatures, lower 20s for the inland areas that could endanger pipes. And then getting down to 27, it's borderline a pipe freeze for our coastal communities, those places mainly south of Interstate 10. So you might want to wrap your pipes just in case. That 27 not final. Maybe the number gets colder and colder as we see another adjustment to the forecast tonight, another adjustment to the forecast tomorrow. Then there's Tuesday, and I do think we're going to see another freeze. Maybe on the coast it's not as bad, might get lower 30s, but then we'll see some inland areas back to the middle 20s, which could be cold enough again to endanger pipes. And you can see those numbers like we showed you earlier, seeing those 20s on Monday morning and the teens for the wind chills on Monday morning. That's going to be the most intense out of the freeze that we're expecting. But like I said, getting milder by the time we get to the middle of next week. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Waking Up with Wesley. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you for watching Waking Up with Wesley with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.